I need to tell you something. Something that's so important that America needs to learn before it's too late. It's no secret to anybody who lives in America or who pays attention to American news, but the country is pretty polarized right now. And the fact that the election went to Trump only is making things worse in some ways. So, the unity and division of the country is a topic that I see almost everyone getting wrong. Whether it's the political left, the political right, the center, most of these people have it wrong. The truth of the matter is, many people have come to believe that, either huge amounts of approaches of just being bold, aggressive, angry, completely ripping each other to shreds is the way to go. And in the short term, that may be a solution that could work. Unless you want to spend the next decades, or who knows how long, in a never-ending game of tug-of-war, where politics is always going to be super polarized, then you need to listen to what I have to say. Trump supporters may be celebrating this election, but they were also celebrating in 2016. They were mourning in 2020, and now they're celebrating again in 2024. So, if you think that this election has earned you the right to just be like, well, I don't have to listen to the other side, we have power, therefore, let's just only focus on our side now. No. That's a bad idea. And if you think that Jesus is going to be happy with you because, well, Jesus was angry all the time in many ways, he was righteously angry, he yelled at people all the time, yes, but you gotta be mad about the same things he was. And that doesn't mean that because of your favorite political issue, that this person doesn't like it, well, therefore that's how it's gonna work. No. Nuh-uh. He was hard on religious leaders, but politicians of Rome, he really didn't speak much about them, but the primary things he was angry about were hypocrisy within, well, not the church, but the synagogues. He was mad whenever people were trying to rob them on the temple grounds. He was also angry in many cases when people were constantly proud and thinking they were better than others. You can't just say, well, Jesus is angry, therefore I'm angry, therefore I'm like Jesus. It's not how it works. See, many people, most notably Matt Walsh, has tried to claim that the left took over because they were bold and aggressive. But this is false. At least it's half false. And it's crucial to understand why it's false in order to understand why my solution is going to work. At the reason that the left was able to persuade people of many issues, or at least get them to vote a certain way, is because they were able to portray the adversaries as bullies, as people who were just trying to get into other people's lives, who weren't minding their own business, who they portrayed them as the bad guys. Now, so therefore, the boldness and aggression may not have been fully accepted, but it was at least tolerated by many people. The reason why so many people are now on the right side of the aisle is because the right has successfully portrayed the left as bullies. Now, whether or not you think either of them are right, I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. That is what they were able to convince at least enough of Americans was the truth. See, boldness and aggression for its own sake, it doesn't work. It only works if you have a bully. Because otherwise, if you're just bold and aggressive for the sake of it, well, guess what? You're going to look like the bully. And people may respect you in the same sense that they respect a bully at school. They'll act like they do, but when you get beaten up, they're going to cheer. That's why this solution is very short-term in its effects, and it won't work long-term. That if you want politics to change and to be at least more civil, and so that you won't have to worry about Americans canceling each other constantly, if you don't want to worry about that, then we need to pay attention to a very simple principle. It's simple, it's not easy, and many of you will hate it, but it's the only way. The truth is, the thing that America needs to do is to be able to love its enemies. Now, love doesn't mean that you like everything they do and that you're just a lovey-dovey doormat all the time. But here's the truth. America as a society, with all the freedom that it offers, that it's supposed to offer, fundamentally cannot exist without the principle of loving your enemies. Now, why is that? Well, it's quite simple. Let's take religious freedom, for example. There are countless countries that do legislate religion because they believe certain religions are harmful, either in the here and now or maybe even in the afterlife. Religious freedom is not possible without loving your enemies. That means that, yeah, I may very well allow, say, a Muslim neighbor to teach their kid Islam. I love them enough that I will not make laws to try and force them to come to my way. But we allow that all the time, and frankly, we should. The Bible never says that it's a good idea to legislate and force people to convert at gunpoint. Now, if we can do that, we certainly can say, okay, yes, this person may be doing harm politically, but I still love them, and I'm not going to constantly outlaw their speech. I'm not going to constantly vilify them. It's not going to happen. I have a link to the proven superiority of nonviolent resistance. The truth of the matter is, nonviolent resistance is the thing that makes change. It won't convince the enemies you have right away, which is why it's going to take grit, and it's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of persistence. You're not going to like it. But again, the stats don't lie. The fact of the matter is, God commanded this in a place that is far more oppressive than anything that any American has to face here at home. These are not suggestions, they are commandments. And even if it doesn't work in your favor, the Lord literally says you should rejoice because great is your reward in heaven. Even if they only just revile you and insult you, guess what? He literally said you'll have a great reward in heaven. So, worst case scenario, you do something, you don't get something in the here and now, but you get something later. Best case scenario is you change somebody's life, you inspire others to do it, and then on a broad basis, we change the rest of America's mind. And thus we have a good life in the here and now, and even more rewards in heaven. And so many people will constantly say, oh, they're idiots, they're idiots, they're idiots, they're idiots, this, that, and the other thing. Satan deceived 1/3 of the angels, okay? When they knew God. He's a deceiver. He can deceive people in countless subtle ways that we don't even realize it. But you're such a saint that nobody could ever deceive you in any way? Get real. Many people will try and portray the other side as absolutely stupid, dumb, and idiotic. Well, this ties into another video that I made yesterday, which is the myth that, well, only stupid people can be deceived by these issues, or only evil people would want to believe it and thus could deceive themselves into believing it. But I, as a rational, normal person, can't be. Well, again, that belief isn't true. There are only two ways to affect political change, either through dialogue or through force. Now, if you inject into people the fact that dialogue is pointless and that people can't be changed who voted for Kamala or can't be changed who voted for Trump, well then nobody's going to want to talk to them. And thus, if nobody talks to them, we're only going to be in our echo chambers, and then we're going to be right back where we are 4 years from now. And if you can't do it, fine. But don't discourage others from doing it. You may even have righteous anger. But the fact of the matter is, on a broad scale, Americans don't like people who constantly vilify them. They just don't. They don't like it. And even if you want to argue that, oh, well, they did this, it's justified, I don't care if they like it, well, good luck, and see you in another 4 years, because guess what? This cycle is never going to end. It's never going to end, we're never going to get anywhere, and you're going to be unhappy and angry all the time. Come back when you're finally exhausted of all this political fighting, because it may work in the short term, it will not work in the long term for America. So it's as simple as that. I'm not saying it's fair, right, or anything else, it's not. But without America, without principles of loving your enemies, America will not and cannot function again. Not like it used to. The truth of the matter is, it's easy to get deceived. It is. It is. If you're not careful, it's very easy to get deceived in this world. By the news, especially now. And I hate to tell you this, but your favorite political commentators make mistakes all the time. They exaggerate, they make a mistake. Every one of them, there are plenty. It may feel good and cathartic to just see people own your favorite enemies, but ultimately it's not going to be good. It may feel great in the moment, but it's just like junk food. Yeah, eating some of it's fine. It's not going to kill you, even if it's not entirely healthy. Feels great in the moment, but if you eat too much of it, you're going to get fat. It's going to hurt you. So ultimately, America needs to learn these principles. We can't have a society of where there is a diverse realm of opinions without the principle of loving your enemies. Because very often, when you have different values, somebody gets hurt because they don't know the truth. And if they don't know the truth, many times harmful things can happen. But we love them. God's standard is never, well, I can hate them if they hurt me. Not the case. You don't have to be a doormat. You don't have to sit back and let them hurt you, obviously. But love is not optional. I'm not suggesting it's easy and that I've done it perfectly. I haven't. But they should be ideals that we strive for. thanks so much, everyone, for watching. I know this video might have been challenging, but I think it's an important topic, and it's important for Christians to push ourselves even when you think you've gotten what you wanted, and even when times are going good. Because when times are going good, that's many times when people can get complacent. So keep on your guard, and keep striving for what the Lord wants. But subscribe. I love all of you guys, and God bless.